Yo, wagwan everyone, Sarada Uchiha here, and welcome back to the channel. Of course, today we tackle Boruto episode 206. Should be an interesting time. The new Team 7. Of course, as per usual, I'm looking out for the changes they make from going from the manga to adapting this in the anime. So it should be fun. I actually kind of skimmed over the chapters that this episode is based on. Skimmed them over last night, just kind of read through. And I mean, it should be a very straightforward. I'm expecting it to cover chapters. The last part of 39 lies 2 pages of 39, and I believe chapter 40 and potentially 41, or at least halfway through 41, so it should be a pretty decently paced episode. But anyway, if you're new here, respect for tuning in, leave a like if you do enjoy my reaction and my thoughts on the episode, and of course, let's have a discussion in the comment section below. Hope you guys are having an awesome day. But yo, it is time! Listen, Mitsuki, if if Jigen was here, you guys would be so screwed. Oh! New opening? I wonder if it's gonna be very spoilerific. For some reason, I don't know, it feels like the song's decent so far. But I kind of feel like the song would be like a song I'd hear in the opening of Bleach for some reason. I don't know, I kind of get that vibe. Ooh! Very... Yo! Yo, alright, this picture, this family picture. Yo, I don't know. It's a vibe. Thoughts on the opening? I like it. The decision to actually make the the spoilerific stuff be very like silhouettes. I thought it was a decent decision. The song is very upbeat and thing, even though I still prefer the previous song in terms of the previous opening song. But this was pretty decent. Ooh, manga readers. That visual of Naruto. You know. As somebody said in some random comment section, you live by the ramen bowl, you get sealed by the ramen bowl. Yeah. You remember like Zabuza days? Man just appear in the middle of the formation. Kinda got that vibe a while ago. Art's looking really clean though. Alright, Boruto with the sieve. Alright, so this is some extra stuff. Liking it so far. Man's got that 10 tails healing factor by. It's kind of cute seeing Boruto like actually call Kawaki brother. Yeah. You know, up to this day, I'm still like manga readers. I know in terms of the significance of Boruto to Kara's plan and how it really helps them out. But what I really want to know was why was there a time limit? Why was there a time limit on the plan? Because Boruto wasn't around before. Why was that? Even to this day, in chapter 59, we haven't gotten an explanation. Again, I guess it depends on when we get that Kara flashback. I really like what the animators are doing since the fight with Jigen. They've been, you know, doing these panning shots, these kind of tracking shots, if that's the right term. You saw it with Mitsuki a while ago. It was kind of panning from. Oh shit, that hurt. from him a while ago. I like it. It really shows they're really experimenting and trying to find ways to make episodes more dynamic, visually speaking. Greatest poem in the ninja world, Poison. Honestly, I don't think I like this change because this is different from the manga. In the manga, we had Sarada. I think Mitsuki was affected just a bit by it, but he was still able to move. And we had Sarada actually scanning the dark mist with her Sharingan here to actually determine it was a virus. Not that Mitsuki wouldn't be knowledgeable in this stuff, but it just would be better if all of the characters were able to play a part. You know, don't reduce Sarada's role. But alright. But I guess since she only has a level 2 Sharingan, probably that's why they decided to go that way instead. Yeah, we don't need Konohamaru anymore. Captain Sarada! No. Captain Uchiha! We just need to face a shield now with like a Sharingan on it, and we're Gucci. It's actually not a bad idea. Alright, sorry about that guys, I probably had to cut the recording short right there because apparently for those of you who've been in my live streams recently, I am seemingly cursed to actually have problems when it comes on to recording and streaming over the last, week or so. So, it rough, honestly. But respect same way. But anyway, this episode, in terms of my thoughts, definitely a solid one. As I was saying in the intro, I reread the chapters that this episode was based on, and I can confidently say that yes, this episode covers the events are the last 2 pages of chapter 39, all of chapter 40, and a decent portion, I think about up to 34 pages of chapter 41. So as a result, the episode does benefit from that in it actually achieving pretty decent pacing, especially if you were one of the persons who probably felt last episode felt a bit slow. So even though it wasn't really, but if you did, so this episode definitely benefits from having pretty decent pacing, despite the fact that it seemed like we kind of slowed down in the middle there to kind of regroup with Team 7 as they kind of contemplate and plan their counterattack. This episode has pretty good pacing, and of course this is a given. The art is pretty solid throughout the entire episode. Nothing really seemed off model, so that was pretty good. The episode is pretty good to look at with pretty decent animation. No world breaking, but the animation is pretty decent, so that's the given. Now what I'll say about this episode as well is the fact that when you look at it, and it's the same thoughts I had when we actually got to this part in the manga, is that this episode, or at least this part of the story, really benefits from having Team 7 go up against this member of Kara who's seemingly stronger than any of them individually, because one, it kind of helps to transition, or at least let the audience know that of course we're not just depending on Naruto and Sasuke. These characters also can play a part. I mean, these are still the main characters, the main team of the story, but after coming out of Naruto and Sasuke versus Jigen and having these strong characters, it's always refreshing for the audience to know that yes, these characters are still the main set of persons we're following, and not only that, we're starting the transition for these characters to actually start carrying the story. I would say that's how I felt about it when the manga dropped, but it might not be as strong a feeling of that since the anime had 1,000,001 episodes for Boruto and his team to actually do stuff and carry the story when it comes on to combat. So it's not as bad when it comes on to the anime at least, but it's still a factor I think actually contributes to making the episode as good as it was, especially in a franchise like Naruto, where of course we know it's not always as strong as that wins, and to a degree teamwork can also, and tactics can play a factor in actually overcoming a strong enemy, and that's what's really on show for this episode that I actually like, the teamwork and the tactics. Now of course this episode had some changes, some I liked, some I didn't like. The additional fight scenes when it comes on to Boruto just engaging Boro, that was nice. I definitely liked it. but taking out the Sharingan thing, I can understand why, but I didn't really like it. So let's kind of break that down. So the thing with Boruto, what I liked about this episode, about him in this episode, or at least the decisions they made, is that it continues the trend of the anime actually setting things up for payoff, and they did it on a kind of like a micro scale contained in this episode. What I mean by that is this: compared to the manga, when it comes on to Boruto and Kawaki teaming up with the Karma Seal and them kind of getting a power boost when they resonate, like you saw when Kawaki put his hand on Boruto and then his Rasengan just the setup in this episode compared to the manga is that we had that additional scene with Boruto engaging Boro, and then them, Kawaki and Boruto, actually realizing that, oh shit, when we have our level 1 karmas activated and I place my hand on you and it resonates, it actually increases my jutsu strength. So I actually like the setup and realization for them to actually factor that into their plan. In the manga, that wasn't the case. It was just, oh, let me put my hand on you, Boruto, at the end there, and then boom. I mean, you could have deduced that, but it was actually a bit more easier to digest, or at least as I said, it was kind of like a little mini setup and payoff there that I actually liked. It actually made the, I guess, the fight flow better from a tactical standpoint, to say, oh, they realize this and we just made use of it. So I like that. I love that they actually put that in. But of course, on the flip side, we do have another change where when it comes on to analyzing and picking up that it's a virus. In the manga, initially we had Sarada using her level 3 Tomoe Sharingan to actually, you know, analyze the virus and pick up that it was a virus. But here in the anime, we have Mitsuki being the one who actually picks that up. Now, as I said, it's kind of like a pet peeve of mine. I didn't really want them to change that from the manga, but given that they've already not given Sarada a 3 Tomoe and she's still on a 2 Tomoe, I guess it kind of makes sense why they didn't really put her in a position to analyze it or Sharingan. Probably her visual prowess isn't as good, well, naturally, since it's a 2 Tomoe versus a 3 Tomoe. And Mitsuki being the one actually picking that up, it's within the scope of his character. It's not any bullshit like, say, okay, Naruto being a scientist and picking up, oh, Naruto, it's a virus. It would be weird for a character like Naruto to pick that up. But Mitsuki being Mitsuki, the son of Orochimaru, and his body being what it is, and him having knowledge of certain stuff like that, it's within the scope of his character to actually pick up that it is a virus. But I just really preferred Sarada being the one to actually, you know, pick it up. That's just me, at least. So there's that. But at the end of the day, all the characters in this fight actually had a role to play, and that's the major thing, the most important thing going or coming out of this fight, that all characters have a role to play. And it's important for the audience to see that each character contributes to the fight in a way, whereas if at the end of the day, even if you want to call bullshit and them probably beating Boro by the end of this, you can say, oh, if one of them were missing, if it was 1-on-1, they would not have won. So it's important that they actually highlight the importance and relevance of each character and how they actually, you know, come together to pull off this strategy of actually fighting Boro, at least, if not beating him. So that's what I love about this section of the story. Definitely a plus. Now, yo, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, yo, the episode itself was, as I said, pretty to look at. Love the fact that the characters each play a role, and Captain Uchiha herself, yo, somebody do some fan art of that, like Sarada with a shield or something, because that's what it is. It's kind of funny to see that Konohamaru again kind of gets the short end of the stick here. I know some persons would have wanted him to change things up and have him in this fight as well, but it is what it is. That would have been a major string from the manga there. So there's that. But all in all, I did enjoy this episode. It's definitely a solid one. Pretty to look at. Decent pacing, to say the least. We covered a large amount of content when it comes on to the manga, and of course, again, when it comes on to the relevance to the story, I mean, it's important that these characters get the showcase that they're getting right now, because these are the characters who will be carrying the story, and it's important that the writers are, you know, at this point in the story, showcase that they can go up against these members of Kara who are overpowered, but when it comes on to strategy and tactics, these characters can still play a role. So that is the relevant piece when it comes on to this episode. So yeah, I liked it. I liked it. And it's just good that every character had a role to play coming out. Also, I will say that I do love that they still do reference and tie things up to the additional information, the additional bit of, you know, showcase when it comes on to Boro in the anime with the whole religious cult and everything. It's good that they actually showcase that, they put in that dialogue. That was a nice little tidbit there, and it kind of ties things up with the anime original, or the additions they've added to Boro's character in the anime. So I like that tidbit as well. So all in all, solid episode, can't really complain. So yeah, but anyway, Sarada Uchiha here. Yeah, let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next Boruto video.